Hi guys, it's me Maluk Jamat here. Today I'm going to teach you the topic called the theory of consumer behavior. Before going to the topic, we must know who is the consumer in the economics. Otherwise, it will be meaningless to study the theory. Consumer is one who buys goods and services for satisfactions of wants. Literally, it means that consumer is a person one who buys goods and service for their satisfactions of wants. Theory of consumer behavior studies the behavior of individual or a group of consumer regarding how to allocate their given limited income resource in a such a way that it maximizes their level of satisfaction. The theory of consumer behavior deals with how to achieve consumer equilibrium. In simple, theory of consumer behavior will try to study the behavior of consumer of individual or a group of individual, how they manage their consumptions level and maintain their maximum or the climax positions of consumptions level, having constraint in their limited income. That means consumer will try to attain maximum level of satisfactions or what we call it that is equilibrium, having very limited income. Consumer's equilibrium can be defined as a situation in which a consumer has allocated his income on consumptions of different goods and service in such a way that it maximizes his level of satisfaction. Consumer equilibrium is a situation where consumer spend his limited income as to attain maximum level of satisfaction. After attainment or attending the maximum level of satisfaction, consumer will have no further intentions of acquiring extra unit of satisfactions given his limited income. In simple, consumer will have no intention of spending extra money for that particular goods or service. In order to study the theory of consumer behavior, we can use or relate through the study of various approaches. First approach is Marshallian approach, or we can call it as cardinal approach. The second approach is Hicksian's or the ordinal approach, and the third one is reveal preference approach, and fourth, and not the least, that is axiomatic approach. Now we will move to the topic called Marshallian approach, or we can call it as a cardinal approach. According to Marshallian or cardinal approach, utility can be measured in terms of monetary unit, as it was said by Alfred Marshall. So utility is the one satisfying power of a commodity. Utility can be measured in terms of cardinal number, example 1, 2, 3, and nth number, and the standard unit for utility is util. In the first statement, we have seen that utility can be measured in terms of monetary unit. That means our utility or satisfaction can be measured in terms of money. And the second thing is that we see that utility is the satisfying power of wants. That means we can say that utility is just measuring the our wants. And the third one is that third statement we have seen that utility is measured in terms of cardinal unit. That means we are measuring utility in terms of numbers. Marshallian also has defined the two terms, that is marginal utility and total utility. Marginal utility is the utility derived from consumptions of one additional unit of commodity. Marginal utility means the one or more additional unit of utility that is derived from consumptions of extra unit of commodity. Total utility is the sum of total marginal utilities derived from consumptions of all units of commodity. Total utility is nothing but it is the aggregate or the summing up of all utility derived from consumptions of extra unit of commodities. Now we will move to the second part, that is the assumptions of Marshallian approach. The consumer is said to be rational in nature. It aims to attain maximum level of satisfaction or climax level of satisfaction within the limited amount of its earning. In context to rationality, that means consumer will be very much wise or be a rational guy who will try to always see or always aim to attain the maximum level of satisfaction within the limited budget that he or she possess with it. That means the guy will always try to purchase or get more amount of commodity using his very limited income. The second assumption is that cardinal utility. The utility of each commodity is measurable. Utility is a cardinal concept. The most convenient measure is money. The utility is measured by the monetary unit that the consumer is prepared, prepared to pay for another unit of commodity. This second assumption, I think I don't need to explain. It is clearly written there. I don't need to read again and again or explain it again and again. You all are sure that you already know by reading that. So I don't need to explain again and I think so. All right. The third assumption is that constant marginal utility of money. This assumption is necessary if the monetary unit is used as the measure of utility. The essential feature of standard unit of measurement is that to be constant if the marginal utility of money changes as income. According to this assumption, it seems like that the price of the commodity is constant as to keep the money as the unit of measurement of utility. If the price of a commodity is not constant, then measuring value of utility will be null and void in terms of monetary unit. The fourth assumption is diminishing marginal utility. The utility gained from successive unit of commodity diminished. In other words, the marginal utility of a commodity diminishes as the consumer acquire large quantity of it. This is the endgame of diminishing of marginal utility. This concept is very simple and clear. When a consumer consumes a particular items or the particular commodity frequently, then its taste and preference will decline. That means as consumer is consuming the particular item frequently, he or she will be fed up of consuming that particular item and his or her consumption level will decline with that particular items or the commodity, and later on or in the future he will not even have the intentions of consuming that particular items. These declinations of consumption level or utility level, it we call it as diminishing marginal utility. Equilibrium conditions for marginal approach. We begin with a simple model of single commodity X. The consumer can either buy X or retain his income Y. Under this condition, the consumer is in equilibrium when the marginal utility of X is equated to its market price Px. Symbolically, we can have MUX equal to Px. In order to explain the equilibrium of consumer in Marshallian approach, we use single commodity that we consider as X and income as Y. Consumer can either buy the items or the commodity X or save his income Y. Marginal utility of X must equal to the price of X. In the second para, it states that marginal utility of X is greater than its price. In that case, the consumer can increase his welfare by purchasing of more of X, or similarly, he can save his Y by cutting down his expenditures on the particular items of X, but remaining the same level of satisfaction. If the consumer wants to remain on his equilibrium level, that means marginal utility of X must equal to the price of X. And for more commodities, that means marginal utility of X divided by price X must also equal to the marginal utility of Y divided by Px must also equal to marginal utility N divided by price N. Yes, we have completed the Marshallian approach. Now we will move to the Hicksian approach. Guys, don't get confused with Hicksian approach and the ordinal approach because they are of the same. According to Hicksian approach, utility cannot be measured in terms of monetary unit, but it can only be ranked orderly. Therefore, choices and preference of consumers are only ranked orderly, not measured in terms of monetary unit. First choice of consumer is hot coffee drinks. And the second choice of consumer is lemon tea. Third choice of consumer is orange juice. In this way, consumer's choice and preference are ranked but not measured in monetary unit in case of Hicksian approach. These are the example of ordinal approach. Approach what I have ranked already earlier. Now we will move to the Hicksian approach assumptions one by one thoroughly. So the first assumption is rationality. Consumer aims at maximizations of their utility subject to constraint imposed by his income, which means that consumer will be in rational nature, will always look forward to maximize his utility, having very limited income sources. Now we move to the second point, that is the transitivity. If a good of A is preferred to B and B is preferred to C and then A is preferred to C, according to these assumptions, the consumer choice are always in a order wise, not in a disorder wise. Here, consumer is preferring A over B and B over C, and definitely consumer will prefer A over C. Definitely consumer will not get mixed up with his choice even though the other bundle of goods are available to him. Third assumption, consumer is said to be consistent in his choice. That means consumer will always be consistent in his or her choice. He will not get mixed up, as I already told in the previous point. Consumer will always be consistent in his choice although the other bundle of goods are also available to him. In order to understand the theory of Hicksian's approach or ordinal approach, indifferent curve play a very significant roles. An indifferent curve is the locus of point, particular combinations or bundle of goods which yield the same utility to consumer, so that he is indifferent as to the particular combinations he consumes. In order to explain these definitions of indifferent curve, I will use the graphical presentations of indifferent curve. Actually, indifferent curve is nothing but it is the combinations of bundle of goods which are presented by the locus of point. The bundle of goods that we represent as the locus of point on the graph. All those locus of point that lies on the same curve will yield the same utility. That means the consumer can select any bundle of goods within that curve or the indifferent curve, but his taste will remain the same unless he move the higher indifferent curve. Now we will try to know the property of indifferent curve. Indifferent curve do not intersect each other. If it so, then the point of intersection would implies that two different levels of satisfaction is impossible. Generally, I see do not intersect. If it so, that means the two different tests will be impossible as it violates the rule of IC. The next point is in different curve has a negative slope, which denotes that if quantity of one commodity increase, the quantity of other must decreased if the consumer is to stay on the same level of satisfaction. Generally, IC curve is a negative slope because if consumer wants to increase his consumptions of one item, he will have to decrease the other items or other commodity as just to remain in the same level of satisfaction, and he would rather not waste his extra money for purchasing the extra unit of commodity. Otherwise, his satisfaction level may be hampered, or else the consumer may fail to maintain the same level of satisfaction, or consumer may face budget constraint which will hamper his satisfaction level. The last property of indifferent curve. The farther away from the origin of indifferent curve lies, the higher level of utility it denotes. Bundle of goods on a higher indifferent curve are carved by a rational customer. In simple, we can say that when a consumer consumes a bundle of goods, he always feel the level of satisfaction. If if the consumer keep on consuming higher the level of IC or indifferent curve, his satisfaction level also will be higher and higher. Sorry guys, the last two approach is not completed in this video, so please keep on waiting for the next video I will be publishing in a few days. Please be patient and keep waiting for that part of video too. Thank you for now.